Okay. Um, Good afternoon, Faithful Transportation. It is Friday afternoon, so at the very last moment that I can get a weekly training and update video to you, but I really want to stay committed to doing these weekly. So thank you for sticking with us through the snow and everything. A few things. First of all, thank you for handling the snow so well, especially Wednesday morning. Everybody was on point. Almost everybody showed up on time, knew what they were doing, double checked when there were issues. I'm really, really thankful for how everybody worked as a team on Wednesday morning. I also want to give a super big shout out to Denise. So if you've been here from the earliest shift to the latest shift this whole week, you've probably seen Denise. Unfortunately, most of the office staff is under the weather this week, and Denise has been doing a fantastic job. So thank you, Denise, and everybody else say thank you to Denise for being here in this little office for a really long time this week. Um, okay, so and I want to also thank you for being gracious with me. As we're short staffed in the office, we're all picking up a few extra duties, and I appreciate everybody just being super flexible and super helpful. Our two tips for this week. The first one is always going to be a theme, but slow down. Slow down. Unfortunately, in the last 2 weeks, I've had to take two drivers off the road for speeding. Both of them were people that I really liked, that were reliable, did a very good job with the students. But like we have our core values, safety is the top priority. Um, and if you can't do something as simple as drive the speed limit, um, then you should not be driving. So please slow down. Please drive the speed limit. Please be mindful of the snow and ice. I do not want to take anybody else off the road. I will. We're short. I will take people off the road if you're speeding, but I really, really don't want to do that. So please slow down. Second update is thank you for not calling off. The everybody, almost everybody, has been super fantastic, especially this week, where we've been short on backups of just showing up to work and showing up on time. So I can't thank you enough for that. So let's very briefly go back to this is supposed to be update and training, and we're going to go back to training and add another piece to what we've been learning. So if you remember from a very long time ago, 3 or 4 weeks, I wanted to do a little bit of a deep dive into core value number 3, which is connecting with our students. So we talked about just the importance of the connection, making that first day really great, using the student's first name, saying, "Hi, Johnny, I'm so glad you're here today," and how that is just such a big piece of the puzzle. Second training we talked about how your connection is a little bit like a string to each student in the van, also each family member, each teacher, and it's your job as the driver to make sure that connection is as strong as it can be, and to also always be when that connection gets broken, always be re-engaging. And once again, we talked about some students take almost nothing for that connection to be really strong. Some students take a lot of work, but that's why we're here, to do a great job with every single student. So the next training is what I call the connection divide, and I'll be looking over at my notes. It's another very, very simple one. And what do you do when your connection gets interrupted? So you've done everything right. You have tried your best to create connection, and there's a nice little string, and then that connection gets interrupted. So basically what that means is that you, or really probably the student, had a really bad day. So they maybe got in a fight, they may be mouthed off. You guys have experienced a lot of this. You just had a conflict, and you need to figure out how to start over. So that connection, that string has been cut in half. How do you restart? So the one thing I want to focus on today with restarting is very, very simple, but it's the driver's ability to forgive from your heart. So that's really just step one. This is incredibly simple. Forgiving the student for maybe saying something, maybe messing up your day, maybe giving you anxiety. Super simple, but I have watched over my career many professionals, people with advanced degrees and doctorates, working with people, and I've watched them very simply hold a grudge with the students or the clients that they serve. And oftentimes, I won't go that far. We'll stop there. Simply, sometimes it's not the student's fault. It's the fact that the professional is holding a grudge towards the student. And whenever you hold a grudge, you have evidence that as to why you're holding that grudge. So it's not without justification that there is a grudge, but as the adult, as the driver, as the professional, we are the ones that need to forgive from our hearts. The great part about working with students is that they are no BS. You can't get away with faking it. If you are holding a grudge, or if you are punishing that student in your heart for something that happened last week, that student is going to feel it before they even get in the van. So if you're still just fuming, or even slightly fuming over what happened a week ago, or what that student said, that student is going to feel it, and there's no amount of words that you can say that are going to overcome that. So what we need to do before we build any type of skills on top of this is that we need to learn how to forgive from our hearts. And most of these are not big offenses when you're working with students, so it shouldn't be too hard. If you've never had to forgive someone, here's exactly how you do it. All you have to do is say, I forgive the student's name, Johnny, even though and then you name the offense. So I forgive Johnny, even though you really made me mad when you took your seatbelt off. You made me mad when I tried to correct you and you yelled at me. And so it's really important to yourself that you acknowledge that student actually did wrong. Forgiving is not saying that this student didn't do anything wrong, but it's really acknowledging that, yes, there was an offense that happened. So I forgive Johnny, even though, name the offense. And then you say to yourself, I am not the punisher, and I will not punish you in my heart or in my actions. Punishment is not my job. And I choose to reconnect with Johnny by, and then fill in the blank, because you guys know how to reconnect with your students. You know what Johnny wants and what Johnny needs. And at this point, in my opinion, your heart's going to tell you what to do to reconnect with that student, whether it's let them have the radio choice, whether it's, just do something a little extra for them, whether it's just making sure that they know by like a longer hello that they are loved and accepted. And like I said, the students will be able to feel this before they walk in the door. All of this is happening internally. So these things you are not saying to the student shouldn't even know that this is happening. They should just be able to feel it when they walk in, knowing that they are loved and accepted on this van, and that they've been forgiven, even though I'm sure they won't be able to articulate that. And this lays the groundwork for great behavior and great boundaries. Forgiveness is different than boundaries. Forgiveness is the layer beneath the boundaries. Boundaries for students that have been unsafe are incredibly important, which we'll talk about next week. But the new boundary needs to be used to connect and to transport safely. If this new boundary is built on top of forgiveness and is being used to connect, then it's got a higher probability of being successful. If the new boundary that you need to create is built on top of punishment and bitterness and control, then it will be much less successful. So this week we talked about forgiving. Once again, this is entirely internal. This is not something that you say to the student. And then next week we'll talk about, after you've forgiven that student, what are the boundaries? How do you reestablish them? And then how do you enforce those new boundaries? Because when a student is unsafe, when they've done an offense, there may need to be some boundaries that we set up because we need to transport safely. And at the end of the day, that is our top priority. Thank you again for listening and for being gracious with me to getting this weekly training out at 1:05 on Friday afternoon. Looking forward to a great week next week with everybody. See ya.